Usually you see me in the kitchen with flour on my hands, sharing specific recipe. But lately I've been doing a lot of deep diving into Ottoman and Turkish food history. And I realized something. We often eat these dishes without knowing the beautiful, incredible stories behind them. Today I'm doing something little different here. I want to share 3 things probably you didn't know about Istanbul's food culture. This isn't just about the ingredients or how to, it's about the soul and the hidden systems of this city. If you love food and history, stay with me because the first point might change your mind, how you think about professional kitchens forever. Most culinary students are taught that the organized professional kitchen was created by the Auguste Escoffier in France in late 19th century. But if we look back at the Ottoman Palace, the Matbah Amire, hundreds of years before Escoffier, the Ottomans had already perfected a massive, highly organized system. While Europe was still cooking in much simpler ways, the palace in Istanbul had 1,300 of staff members working in a strict hierarchy. They had separate departments with their own head chefs, one for the sultan's private meals, one for the harem, and even specialized kitchen only for desserts like helvacı or dairy. They even have specific spice pharmacists. This wasn't just a kitchen, it was a culinary machine. For example, when you eat a dish like Hünkar beğendi, sultans liked it, you are tasting the result of this perfectionism. It's the meeting of two worlds, the smoky, beautiful, traditional eggplants and a refined velvety sauce reflects this high-leveled training. Some historians believe it was influenced by the French bechamel sauce during a 19th century diplomatic visit. We often give credit to the Western world for this professional cooking, but the heart of Istanbul was doing it at a massive scale centuries earlier. The second thing to understand is the Istanbul food is a very specific flavor DNA. Because the city was the capital of empires and the end of the Silk Road, it became a culinary mosaic. In my research, I have noticed that a true Istanbul cuisine is defined by its neighbors. It's where the spice trades of the East met the techniques of Anatolia, Greeks, Armenian, and even Sephardic Jewish community. This is why in Istanbul we use the ingredients in a way that surprises people. We put, for example, cinnamon and nuts into dolma. We have lakerda, salted fish, which is a heritage of ancient sea culture. Another sample of being a mosaic culture, look at vişneli yaprak sarması, stuffed grape leaves with cherries. In many parts of Turkey, the dish is spicy and savory. But in Istanbul style, we use the sweetness of fruit and the warmth of the cinnamon and other spices. It's a true masterpiece of the Istanbul elite kitchen. While most of Turkey makes this dish savory, here in Istanbul we add the tart sweetness of sour cherries. Actually, it is also a perfect window into the Ottoman obsession with the dolma, stuffed technique. In the palace, the chefs were masters at stuffing almost anything, not just vegetables like peppers or zucchini, but the entire garden. They stuffed melons, apples, quinces, and even rib steak. When I share these techniques on my cooking experiences here in Istanbul, usually my visitors are amazed by the taste of this mix of spices. And using this inside the grape leaves, where usually people just throw it away. Another perfect sample is boza. This thick fermented grain drink is one of Istanbul's oldest winter traditions. It's a beautiful link between our ancient nomadic roots and city life. It's a reminder that some of our best heritage isn't served only in the palace. It's a living ritual still found on the street corners today. So when you walk through the Istanbul streets today, you aren't just eating Turkish food. You are eating the history of entire Mediterranean, Anatolian, and the Silk Road on one plate. And finally, we have to talk about the Esnaf Lokantası. These are the tradesmen restaurants you see in every corner of the city. In history, these were the social centers for the craftsmen and jewelers. The heritage here isn't just the food, it's the trust. One thing that makes the Esnaf Lokantası unique is the relationship between the chef and customer. In these places, the concept is usually the chef's recommendation because the menu changes every single day based on what is fresh on the market. The regular customers don't even ask the menu. They ask the chef, "What do you recommend? What is good today?" This is the ultimate form of culinary trust. It's a beautiful sample and heritage of zero waste cooking, where the chef uses their skill to turn whatever the earth provides for the day. It is the same thing what we do also as homemakers and the chefs of our own kitchen. Don't you think? It's not about the fixed menu. It's about living, breathing connection to the ingredients and community. I have enjoyed being in this research mode so much. And I hope you enjoyed this peek into the hidden layers of Istanbul's kitchen. Moving away from the stove and into the history books has reminded me that food is the most delicious way we preserve our culture. This is the kind of depth and storytelling I love to bring to my gourmet experiences here in Istanbul. It's never just about the meal, it's about the legacy. But I want to hear from you. Did you know about the palace kitchen system before this episode? And do you like this new storytelling style? Or do you want me to get back to the recipes immediately? Please write down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my journey as both chef and a student of history. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Az porsiyon Hünkar beğendi kebabı.
Hünkar beğendi.
Hünkar beğenmiş ki siz daha beğenirsiniz. Bir de patlıcan kebabı yapalım. Az porsiyonda patlıcan kebabı.
Bu olmak çorbasıydı.
Evet. Onu olmak çorbası.
Üçüne de mi diyorsunuz?
Üçüne de hafif sıkıyorsunuz.
Tamam.
Kafi.
So, bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Evet.
A little bit lemon to all of them.